For me, 2012 was a memorable moment in my life, and my career's changed. To have 2012 Olympics right on our doorstep, and as a nation to come together, because it didn't matter if you're from Wales, Ireland, Scotland, we were one. For me, that was the proudest moment. And then going to defend my title 2016 was incredible to be able to, pull it off. There's no many athlete done that. And then, 2021 was a challenging year for all of us, even myself, leading into it. I never even thought a second I would not go to the Olympics. But I didn't go to the Olympics because I didn't make the qualification to get to the Olympics due to my injury. But I was still proud of, to watch fellow athletes, to see GB win, silver medal, a bronze medal in 1500 meters. It was nice to be able to see youngsters that saw you as a role model and, being part of the games to win a medal and take that chance. For me, was particularly in the 800 meters, girl won the silver, was incredible. I was like, that's the chance. And listen, it wasn't meant to be my time, but it's their time, and you've got to celebrate.
Absolutely. Ajit Kumar, after you, sir. After you.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. Like you said, you are a role model. You've been an inspiration, but assumingly it's not coming easy, right? So you had to break the barriers. Can you share a couple of moments where you had to break the barriers and embrace the diversity and help people who are in the sports industry to appreciate it?
Yeah, no, for sure. As I said, like for us, life is challenging, but it's how you see it. I never saw as an obstacle of what I look like or what it is, or maybe not being able to speak English as well as anyone else. And for me, the hardest things as a kid growing up was being able to put in a classroom and knowing you have to cover everything, if it's history, if it's science, if it's geography. I never went to school and not been, secondly, being able to speak English, but I never saw that as a hurdle. I saw as like, yeah, I've got to learn, I've got to do something. And it is how we see life. If you're willing to work hard and do something about it, I think we will have no hurdles. And often in my career, same thing as apply. It's what you put is what you get out of. I can't be able to sit at home, have a cup of tea and have a laugh with my friend and go out and expect to win the gold medal. No, it doesn't work like that. If you want to go, you've got to put in the work. You've got to put in 120 miles week in, week out and work hard and keep grafting. And then comes the racing part, you've got to use your tactics and your mind and to win it and give yourself the best chance. It's the same thing as you you guys do what you do.
Absolutely.
And you're good at what you do, but it doesn't come overnight, or someone don't expect you to just do that. It takes years of hard work, and no one really sees that.
Absolutely.
You only see that part, but it's the years of hard work and dedication and grafted. That's how I say it. And
fantastic. Fantastic. Now, obviously, speaking on what you were just saying about, learning English, etc. You coming from Africa, I mean, well, obviously, fair enough, you came from a different country to learn English, etc. Now, obviously, like I say, you've done incredible. You've been knighted by the Queen. Do you pinch yourself at night knowing that, your name is Sir? I mean, there's MBE, OBE, CBE, etc. It's very hard to even get one award. Being knighted must have been incredible for you and the family. Do you pinch yourself at night knowing that, what your name is to the world now?
No, you do it in a different way. When I, spend time with people, or people come up to you and kids come up to you and say to you, I achieved this because of you. I watched the Olympic. I watched you here. You're my role model. That's really, for me, that's that moment like you're proud of what you've done. And secondly, as myself, I was just a kid and didn't ever dream of, becoming 4 times Olympic champion and to be knighted by the Queen, that alone, just winning medals. And to me, to have that combination is incredible. But at the same time, it's work you've done. It's the hard work and the grafting and determination and believe.
Absolutely. Fantastic, Mo. Now, going into the more ethnicity part and diversity, because you are a man of colour. Myself, I'm a man of Ajit is a man of colour. Now, being a black athlete in Britain, at the same time, there's always obstacles. Me being a journalist, am I Asian? Yes. Am I Indian? Yes, etc. There's always going to be ethnicity boundaries, right? Now, obviously, you know about Raheem Sterling, you know, who suffered terrible racial abuse. You know, I know that recently there was a video of you in Germany. Is that right? Germany Airport.
Yeah. I was, Germany Airport.
You handled that very maturely, even though you were antagonized by somebody there, you know, one of the immigration officers. The way you handled it, even though, yes, it was very degrading. Yes, it was very discriminating against your race, etc., etc. What experience have you had in your career when it comes to racism?
I've had a lot. Not to say, look, I've had this, that shouldn't be on, but it does exist. In the reality is, we've got to be honest. It does exist in that world, and when it exists, it's how you handle it and what you say and how you come across. I think is the biggest thing, because sometimes people who are in that don't even know it. They're doing it. But if the person's aware of and they're doing it, or they say something, then you are trying to address it in a nice way and just say, listen, that's not acceptable. You can't say that because of this. And over time, they get it. But I think it's how do we address it? What do we say? Is it okay? Is it not okay? And I think in our lives, we will come across a lot of different things. Even, you know, I went to Feltham School, right next to young offenders, and at the time in 2000 late 90s, it was considered as that part of rough, but you can't see it as a hurdle and saying that's a rough part, I can't do that, I can't go this area. No, you got to be you, and you got to go and do things that you needed to. You can't see that as hurdles or an obstacle. I don't know if that makes sense, but you've got to kind of
makes sense.
Keep going at it.
And what experience have you had, though? Because I know, you know, the Germany incident, you know, I mean, I've had many experiences when it comes to maybe going into a bar, maybe going for a restaurant, you know, maybe calling up, etc. Maybe even saying my last name, Rai, because it's not going to be Jones. It's always Rai. Oh, he must be Punjabi. He must be Hindu.
Yeah.
It's always going to be that if. What's one experience that you've had, Mo, that you have never told anybody before, that you've always kept quiet, that's been very burdened to you, but something that's, you know, you feel like the public should know?
I think I've had a lot of different things, you know, people saying to you, you go to a place, you know, just going through a neighborhood, you drive in and I'm getting out the gate and they're like looking at you. Sorry, can I just, Mike, I think is trying to get a link.
Let me just pause this 1 second.
Okay.
So Mo, yes, going back to my question, you know, what kind of personal experience you've had in your career, at the same time, you know, maybe someone says something, that a story that you've never told the public before, that you think people in England and the world should know, maybe one experience you've ever had in your career?
To be honest, it hasn't been that bad, and I never see it as a hurdle. I just sometimes, you know, when you see people behaving that way, you go like, listen, they don't have a clue, they don't know it. But in a way, for me, one moment where, you know, shocked was I lived in a good neighborhood, and you know, the cars are monitored and everything else, and I went through the gate. As I come through the gate, there's this old lady who was standing there, and she's watching me, and she's like, "Do you live here?" And I'm like, I looked, and she was talking to me. And I was like, yes, I live here. And then kind of moved on. And she's like looking at me like, you can't come in here. But again, it's the same thing. It's how you do and what do you say in that moment. I was just like, yeah, I live here. So thank you. And I just went on my business, where in a normal thing, I think people would find it, they deal with it in a different way.
Yeah. That's so important, because you know, if you keep your focus and if you keep your focus on the craft, the world will come around. You know, that's the kind of message that I get to hear, Mo, and I think that's very inspiring. Thanks for sharing.
No, we have to, and I think it's the same for youngsters now. It's so much more harder to what we had it, because now it's the social media, it's the certain things, and someone sent me a comment and doing that, and you don't know who's doing it. And for me, that's when I find it harder, because at least you know if someone's been direct at you, or you know, feel that view towards you, you get it, and you can respond however and deal with it and move on. But I think it's harder now because that comment or that thing stays there.
Yeah.
And for youngsters, as kids, and that their friend sees it, the other friend sees it.
Sorry to disturb you there, bro. Do you think racism is because my father's always said to me, Kiran, you know, racism is embedded in our thoughts for so many years. You know, it's been embedded for so many. I mean, I'm only 29, so it's very hard for me to, you know, what it's like in the 80s and the 90s. But, you know, you being a family man and being around for a long time, do you feel like racism is embedded for so long, you know?
No, listen, it's been there. It's been there. And I think without saying like, me or her, it's both ways. And even myself, like I went to my wife, and I went to Somalia and stuff like that. When she went there, she like people like, but it wasn't in a bad way. It's just people didn't know who she was, because my wife is half English, half Arab, and the mixture. And people are like, why can you not be with that person? Why can you be that person? It's people will have different views, and people will see it differently. It's what we do, and how do we educate our kids? And to me, I've got 4 beautiful kids, and in a way, I'll just try and educate them the best way that I can, because you can give them everything, but then it's them to see what they can do. And I think, particularly being out there, it's tough for youngsters now, I believe, more than ever, because of, you know, social media and other platforms that people can easily make comment. They don't even know what that comment and what it means.
Now, you're obviously a role model to young people. And at the same time, you know, I've covered so many different sport events. So there's always, you know, there's great diversity, etc. But you're a great role model for so many people across the world. But at the same time, people still look at all of our athletes, all of them, as their skin color. They always look at their skin color and say, if he's black, Asian, white, etc. What message can you tell to the people who do think like that? Because whatever you say, Mo, is going to be very changing, life changing. It's going to be powerful, because at the end of the day, you know, you are an asset and a national treasure to everybody across the world. So what message can you tell the people who do think like that? Maybe it's time for them to start changing their thought process a bit.
No, we have to, and I think it has to go down from lower in schools, in things. And I think there's two things generally when you come across people. Some people generally don't even have a clue, and then they've never been seen a black person, or they've never been in that area and stuff, and they're like, ooh. And you can see them. But there's people who, you know, deliberately say things, and I think we can change them. And the only way we change is us coming forward, coming together, and working together as a community, as one. And it doesn't matter. Listen, end of the day, I am this color, but does it change what I feel? You have same feelings, we're the same thing. It doesn't. It's a skin color. And to me, I never see, when I go down the road or go to certain areas, I never see them as saying black. Yeah, of course, your eye is going to catch. That's just our instinct, all of us. But I don't go certain things, and I think we can. If we all think that, we can make that changes. And I think particularly as well, as you've seen, you know, using sports, we can even have more impact, bringing all people together, which is the beauty of all sports. Because at the end of the day, like when I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm going to Arsenal and stuff. I don't care who plays where. As long as we can win, and you know, we've got a lot of different players, type players. We've got Saka, we've got, you know, guys from Japan, and we've got players of ethnicity.
Absolutely. After you, sir. After you.
Yeah, you know, just a final note on that, and then to my next question. You know, yes, corporate world, at least in the UK, I feel closely that they are taking this initiative to embrace and educate people, which is fantastic to see. I think we are in a generation where this change is coming. My next question is, you know, you are a sports person, very clearly, you know, have established amazing stuff, and you're known for it, but you also now have evolved in, you know, multidimensional. So is there an entrepreneur inside you? Is there a social entrepreneur inside you? Anything that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, no, for me, I love to see people going out there and challenging themselves. And to me, when I see kids particularly that watch you and seeing you and want to be like you, that's to me, that's touching. And I think it's nice to have that
Any
you know.
any charity work or any social entrepreneur work that you are driving? Would you like to share anything with us?
So for me, I'm an ambassador for Save the Children, and you know, I love being involved because it involves kids and making change and using sports, or you know, educating them. And I think that's the biggest things what we can do. And even recently, you know, me and my wife, we did this game show. I shouldn't say this, but we it's called Oasis, and it helps vulnerable kids that, you know, who want to be with their parents or family, and they don't want to take away from it because, you know, family issues and stuff. And what the charity does, it helps them support, stays in their family.
Brilliant.
And to be involved in something like that, to me, that's touching. And I'm always been a kids person, I guess. And if I can do anything to change kids' life or support in any way that I can, I'll try and.
Fantastic. And you mentioned also Arsenal, Mo. What's your love for Arsenal? Because you know, I mean, clearly, you know, I'm a West Ham fan. Just to let you know, I'm a West Ham.
Listen, that's a beautiful stadium.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 2 Olympic gold medals. No,
bloody hell, you know. But yeah, West Ham fan. But for the sports conversation now, what's your love for Arsenal, and why have you decided to become an Arsenal fan?
I'm going to be honest here. The reason why I come to Arsenal, because I was going to school, and my parents, particularly, you know, older people, as you know, parents were Liverpool United. It's just household. And you go in, and over the years, you'll watch Arsenal, the way they played, and as a kid growing up, for me, was something about Arsenal. And at that point, I'm living in London. I had to support a London team. So you go Chelsea, Queensland Rangers, or Brentford. And for me, it was just Arsenal that over the years. Ian Wright, Tony Adams, Vieira. That's later on down the line, but you know, Seaman and the rest. And that moment was like, listen, I like Arsenal. I want to support Arsenal. I never obviously got a chance to have a season to go matches at the time because we didn't have a lot. But over the years now, when I grew up and got a bit of money and stuff like that, I try and, you know, we bought season ticket, and we've had it for now 3 years. And you know, I try and take the kids each week and taking turns, because it's just nice to see your, you know, team that you support over the years.
Fantastic, excellent, Mo, excellent. And my last couple of questions for you, and then I'll leave it to Ajit. Going back to diversity and ethnicity, because, like, you know, I know I'm going back to it more and more, but I feel like there's more that needs to be said, and there's more that needs to be done in the world that we still live in. Because I've got friends of mine I've got friends of mine who are black. We can talk about apples and bananas as much as we want, but I would in life talk about the real stuff that can change. You know, I've got friends who are black. I've got friends who are Muslim. I've got friends who are Hindus, Punjabis. I've got a lot of friends in diversity. They always say to me, Kiran, you know, things need to be changed. What advice can you tell to young people out there, the people that are Muslim, Arabs, Somalians, etc., that want to make their career, but are too scared and going, yeah, you know what?
No, you can't be. Listen, even myself, you got to be proud of who you are. End of the day, listen, no one's going to change that. And people say to change this, they're not being real. We are who we are. And it doesn't matter if we're Muslim or black and stuff. As long as you have that dream and you stick at it, you will have hurdles. And as long as you can overcome that, like yourself, myself, you never get to that position. If you, every time someone said to you, "Oh, you this," if I took it inside me and gone, "I can't do it because you told me I can't do it," and this, you will fail. You got to keep working hard. You got to keep grafting. Yeah, you will have, but try and ignore them, and try that to motivate you, because no matter what, we will have hurdles. Even myself, as much as I've achieved, as much I have, hasn't been all, you know, smooth ride. But a lot of challenges. I've had a lot of difficult times where, you know, where people think something or written certain thing about you, which is not the case. But what do? You got to keep moving forward and keep going and keep going. And as long as you can be 100% yourself and knowing that's real, that's all you can. But as I said, a lot of stuff needs to be done, because I believe, because now, I'm not talking about myself, I'm slightly older and stuff, but for our kids and generation, it's so much more harder, and something does need to be done in terms of, particularly in the social media. And I think whoever comments or something needs to be accountable for that, for their actions. And I think that's what we got to see if we want to make changes. I can talk as much, and you can bring in all the people, but if the platforms and stuff like that are not controlling and you know, it's harder. And to me, that's what I see the most.
What do you tell because you being a family man, it sounds like you're very family orientated now, which is fantastic. You know, you've made your life, you've made your career, now you're family orientated. What do you tell your children how to, when they grow up and they get older, how to deal with racism and experience it? But me, myself, has Ajit's definitely, you know, experienced a lot. I mean, what do you tell your children?
No, trying to be proud of who they are and who you are, and as long as you're proud of yourself, and it doesn't matter about your color, your hair. So, you know, I have kids. You know, my kids going, well, your hair, your color. You know, there's different. You will come across all kind of people, but as a parent, what do I want? I want my kids to be, you know, respectful, be open-minded, work hard, and be nice to others. That's all I expect. I don't expect them anything else.
And the George Floyd,
and treat them how, yeah.
No, after you, Mo, continue.
And I'll tell them, treat people how you want to be treated, because that's life. Yeah, you can't go. And I think in our household we try and keep it simple, as relaxed, but very respectful. Because I think a lot of it for me, maybe it's my background. You know, in our household, auntie, uncles, you can't call someone else going, Sandra, or something else. It was Auntie Sandra, Auntie this, Uncle this, and that's it.
Absolutely, fantastic. Ajit Kumar, last couple of questions to you, and then we'll.
Yeah, my last question. You know, brand endorsement is a major part of your profession now. You know, once you become famous, how do you go about choosing which brands to work with? Because you know what you say is huge, and it has a big influence. How do you go about choosing which brands to work with?
I think it's one of these things for me, because of my sports, my background. Obviously, over the years, I've been ambassador for Nike throughout whole my life, and still I am. And you know, as you get to the top again, you do, you know, other endorse it, other companies do it. But it's that company, you know, it's what they do, how they do it, how much involvement are you? And I'll try and get involved in every way that I can. And often, you know, as a brand, I think that's the best way to seeing you do what you do. And I think that naturally just comes again.
Brilliant. Thank you. And also, last couple of questions from me, Mo, then I'm going to let you continue your evening, because I know it's getting late. I'm going to ask you something quite sensitive, actually, to be honest. And I feel like, you know, I asked Amir Khan, you know, about the situation before.
I'm friends with him. Amir.
So are we. So we're all friends now.
Yeah.
But I asked Amir about it, and he speculated on it, and he said, you know, I don't know why somebody would say that, but fair enough. Now, obviously, you know, when it came to, you know, last year in the lockdown, we had George Floyd, you know, a really sad situation where, you know, going back to racism, etc. You know, that was pure racism. I mean, there's no other difference.
It exists, though. There's no question about that. It does.
There was no, exactly. I mean, a man, just to kind of rephrase, a white police officer put a knee on his neck and suffocated him for 9 minutes. Disgusting behavior. But then obviously 2 months after that, Mo, there was, you know, obviously you know about Prince Harry and also Meghan Markle. You know, they went to America. They enjoyed their life. Fair enough. You know, the British tabloids, they were a bit brutal, but, you know, she signed up for that because she wanted to, you know, she was a royal family member. Fair enough. But then she went to America, and then she went on the Oprah Winfrey show and started saying that, you know, the royal family are racist, etc., etc. Oh, you know, there was a conversation between how dark the baby was. When you heard about that, what did you feel when you heard about that?
To be honest, like, as I said, like, it's one of these things. I don't know the full story, but you hear and gist of it. And when you put everything together, you're like, to me, it was just like, doesn't make any sense. You're part of it. But when you're not part of it, you can't be saying that. When you're part of it, it's straight in front of you and said that, then say what you need to say. You can't go.
Do you think she was exaggerating, Mo? Do you think she was exaggerating what she was
saying?
Listen,
I don't want to accuse anyone of saying anything, but at the same time, to me, just getting bits from all over the place, it just didn't feel as like.
Not accusing. I'm not saying accusing, but I'm just asking, like, do you feel? Because I feel like, you know, some people exaggerate for, you know, they just exaggerate because they want to get media attention. Do you feel like it wasn't fair that it was a one-sided story to say that?
No, of course, and to me, it just feels like one-sided, to be honest, because you didn't hear the other side, and that's all you heard. But in generally, if there was a problem, you would deal with it. You go to it straight away, and when it was that happened while you were there, rather than I'm not there anymore. I'm like, this happened, that happened. But then again, it's like, how did it happen? What was the moment? Was it just general? Because a lot of people do make comments and do stuff. What was the sense? Like, I'm sure me and you can have a chat because you feel connected and the certain things you do. But then in public or elsewhere, if you had that conversation, it wasn't appropriate. But it depends the level and how tense it was, and how often was it? Was it just that one moment? I don't know the answer.
No, fair enough. Retirement and retirement. Last question. Retirement. What's your plans on? I know that you're planning to. I don't know if you're planning to retire, and what's the plans? And in the next 5 years or the next 10 years for you?
For me, like, I'm just taking 1 year at a time. Next year is the Commonwealth, as I said, Europeans, the World Champs.
We'll be there.
See what I can do. And secondly, after that, I love to be able to get involved in the grassroots